I always loved the ocean. From a young age, I was fascinated by its depths, its mysteries, and the life it harbored. The ocean was a world unto itself, a place where the ordinary rules of life on land didn't apply. The vastness, the mystery, the creatures that called it home. Each dive into the water felt like an adventure, a journey into the unknown. I would spend hours watching documentaries, reading books, and dreaming of the day I could be closer to this incredible world. So when the aquarium offered me the night guard position, I jumped at the chance. It was an opportunity to be surrounded by the ocean's wonders, even if it was behind glass. The thought of spending my nights in the company of sea creatures was exhilarating. My own domain, a silent world of wonders. The aquarium at night was a different place, a serene and almost magical environment. The dim lighting and the gentle movements of the sea creatures created a peaceful atmosphere that was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Sharks were my favorite, apex predators, sleek and powerful. Their presence commanded respect and awe. Watching them move with such grace and precision was mesmerizing. I often found myself lost in thought, imagining what it would be like to swim alongside them in the wild. I felt a thrill watching them glide through the water. Their movements were both fluid and purposeful, a perfect blend of beauty and danger. Each night, I would spend time in front of the shark tank, captivated by their silent dance. My first few weeks were bliss. The novelty of the job, the tranquility of the aquarium, and the constant presence of the sea creatures made every shift feel like a dream. I couldn't believe my luck. I was living my childhood fantasy. The silence of the aquarium at night was calming, almost meditative. Walking through the empty hallways, I felt a sense of peace that was hard to find in the bustling world outside. The only sounds were the gentle hum of the filtration systems and the occasional splash of water, creating a soothing symphony that lulled me into a state of contentment. I'd walk the halls, the only sound the hum of the filtration systems and the distant splash of water. Each step echoed softly, reminding me that I was alone in this underwater sanctuary. It was a time for reflection, for appreciating the beauty of the ocean and the creatures that inhabited it. Every night was a reminder of why I loved the ocean and why this job was truly a dream come true. My rounds were routine. Check the locks, monitor the tanks, make sure all was secure. The shark tank was my last stop. I'd stand there for what felt like hours, mesmerized by their silent dance. The largest tank held the stars, several sand tiger sharks, a massive bull shark, and a great white they called Jaws. One night, something changed. The silence was broken by a faint tapping sound. I paused, straining my ears. Tap, tap, tap. It seemed to be coming from the shark tank. I moved closer, my heart starting to pound. The tapping grew louder, echoing through the dimly lit room. Each tap felt like a countdown, a reminder of something amiss. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the weight of the unknown pressing down on me. I shone my flashlight across the tank's surface, the beam reflecting off the rippling water. The light danced and flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The water seemed restless, as if it too sensed the impending danger. I scanned every inch, my breath held in anticipation. And then I saw it, a hairline crack, almost invisible near the bottom of the tank. It was so small, yet it held the potential for disaster. The water was seeping through, drop by drop, each one a silent alarm. I could feel the urgency rising within me. The tapping was coming from there. It was a rhythmic, almost hypnotic sound, like a heartbeat. Each tap resonated with a sense of foreboding. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the crack, knowing that it was a ticking time bomb. I radioed it in, my voice tight with worry. "Minor crack in the shark tank, needs immediate attention," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The words felt heavy, laden with the gravity of the situation. I knew that any delay could lead to a catastrophe. The voice on the other end assured me they'd send someone over first thing in the morning. but morning felt like an eternity away. The calmness in their voice did little to ease my anxiety. I couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. I stayed put, my eyes glued to the crack. Every second felt like an hour. The tapping continued, relentless and unyielding. I could feel the weight of responsibility bearing down on me. I knew I had to stay vigilant, to watch over the tank until help arrived. The night stretched on, filled with the sound of tapping and the silent promise of dawn. As the hours ticked by, the tapping grew more insistent. The crack, I swore, was getting bigger. The sharks, usually placid at night, were becoming agitated. They circled the tank with unusual frenzy, their powerful bodies slamming against the glass. Fear, cold and clammy, began to grip me. This wasn't normal. Something was terribly wrong. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew better. Then it happened. From the depths of the tank, a shadow began to rise. It moved slowly, deliberately, growing larger as it ascended. My blood ran cold. This was no ordinary creature. It reached the crack, its form obscured by the murky water. The tapping stopped. The sharks were silent now, their movements reduced to tremors of fear. I stood there, paralyzed, as the shadow pressed against the crack. The atmosphere was thick with tension, the kind that makes your skin crawl and your heart race. I could feel it in my bones. Something was terribly wrong. The crack widened with a sickening crunch. It was as if the very fabric of the underwater world was tearing apart, a sound that echoed through the depths, sending ripples of dread through the water. Water began to seep out, a trickle at first, then a steady stream. The pressure was building, and with it, the sense of impending doom. Each drop seemed to carry with it a whisper of the unknown, a promise of something sinister lurking just beyond the breach. The shadow, now immense, started to push its way through the widening gap. It moved with a deliberate slowness, as if savoring the fear it was causing. The darkness seemed to pulse and breathe, alive with malevolent intent. Its form, still unclear, sent shivers down my spine. It was a shape that defied logic, an amalgamation of nightmares that seemed to shift and change with every passing second. My mind struggled to comprehend what I was seeing, but the fear was all too real. My training, my instincts screamed at me to run. Every fiber of my being was telling me to get out, to escape the clutches of whatever horror was emerging from the depths. But my body refused to obey, paralyzed by the sheer terror of the moment. But I was rooted to the spot, transfixed by the horror unfolding before me. It was as if an invisible force was holding me in place, compelling me to witness the nightmare in its entirety. My breath caught in my throat, and my heart pounded like a drum. The air grew heavy, the stench of brine filling my nostrils. It was a suffocating, oppressive smell that seemed to cling to my skin and invade my senses. The water around me grew murkier, filled with debris and the remnants of what once was. This was no rescue mission. The realization hit me like a tidal wave, crashing over me with brutal force. We were not here to save anyone. We were the ones who needed saving. The danger was palpable, a living entity that surrounded us on all sides. This was something else entirely, a force beyond our understanding, a malevolent presence that had been waiting, watching, and now it was making its move. The foreboding presence was undeniable, and I knew in that moment that we were in the presence of something ancient and powerful, something that defied all logic and reason. With a deafening roar, the tank burst. Water exploded outwards, a torrent of glass and steel and primal terror. I was thrown backwards, landing hard on the concrete floor. The force of the water was unbelievable, a raging ocean unleashed within the confines of the aquarium. I scrambled to my feet, disoriented, my ears ringing. The emergency lights flickered on, casting the scene in a strobing red glow. The air was thick with the smell of salt water and something else, something ancient and foul. Through the chaos, I saw it. The creature. It had pulled itself free from the wreckage of the tank, its true form revealed. Words cannot describe the horror that gripped me in that moment. It was a monstrosity, a nightmare made flesh. Panic seized me. I turned and ran, my legs pumping, my lungs burning. Behind me I heard the creature's roar, a sound that promised pain and oblivion. I didn't dare look back, fear gripping my every step. I could hear the creature moving through the flooded corridors, its heavy footsteps echoing through the darkness, getting closer. I could hear the screams of the other guards, their cries cut short as the creature found them, one by one. I burst through the emergency exit and into the night, desperate for safety. The cool air hit my face like a slap, jolting me back to reality. I didn't stop running until I reached my car, fumbling with my keys, my heart pounding in my chest, adrenaline surging. As I drove away, I could see the lights of emergency vehicles approaching the aquarium. But it was too late. The creature was loose, and it was unlike anything the world had ever seen. I glanced back one last time at the shattered remains of the aquarium, a chill running down my spine. The ocean, I realized, held secrets far darker and more terrifying than I could have ever imagined. Secrets that should have remained hidden in the depths.